The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated. Welcome back to the Nova Society, a space where dialogue deepens understanding and civic responsibility comes to life. I'm Dr. Mark Bound, joined by our regular panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon. Together, we'll unpack the stories that matter most, exploring the headlines, the history, and the big ideas shaping today's conversations. Let's dive in and hear what the panel has for us today.
Today we have a question from Tonya, who writes to us from Westminster, Indiana. And Tonya writes, so Trump's suit against the IRS is personally paying off for him. His DOJ signed off on a deal that not only forbids looking back at Trump and his family's tax evasion over the years, but creates over a $1 billion slush fund. It's $1 billion. It's 1776 is what the number is. Slush fund to reward the January 6th traitors that attacked our Capitol. This is so obviously corrupt, it's almost mind-boggling. I know the numbers are on the Republican side, and there is little Democrats can do but whine. But after the midterms, isn't there something that can be done? Some Republicans are complaining about the slush fund, but we don't hear much about the Trump IRS pass. I doubt they will stand up and do what's right, but I can always hope. Can these two corrupt policies be challenged in any way that avoids having to deal with the spineless Republicans? Or are we, the people, just going to simply accept this? We pay taxes. Trump doesn't. We stand for law and order. Trump pardons and gives money, our money, to his supporting traitors. WTF. Yes, Tonya, I agree. And I genuinely don't know what we can do, which really is very aggravating. And I honestly think that that's one reason why I don't know what stock to put in polls, but apparently many Americans actually support political violence or violence in the name of politics to achieve what they believe their objectives. And I think that that's one reason why is because we Americans see their institutions failing, and that nothing seems available. No redress or recourse seems available except violence. And that is, of course, a huge warning, or should be a huge warning to people in power. And yet nothing is done. And so we simply seem to be on a merry-go-round or a Ferris wheel, and everything simply recycles. And as Lewis Carroll said in Through the Looking Glass, and what Alice found there, we're running as fast as we can to stay in the same place. So yeah, I agree with this. It's absolutely disgusting. So Mark, Scott, what do you have?
Well, Mark, if you don't mind, first I have news.
News.
Yeah, I have news.
Are you like Wolf Blitzer? Breaking news.
Breaking news. Scott Gershwer, our breaking news man.
The white beard.
That's right.
Yep.
But
and the glasses. Doesn't Wolf Blitzer wear glasses too?
Yeah. I only wear them to look at the computer, though. The former Capitol Police officers Harry Dunn and Metropolitan Police Department officer Daniel Hodges have filed a suit against this settlement money, this slush fund, and to block it. And the suit says, let me get the quote here, if you don't mind, that the purpose of the anti-weaponization funds is obvious: to provide the January 6 rioters, including the Proud Boys, with the remuneration that they, the president, and the president's allies all agree they are owed. So there is now a lawsuit. Somebody's stepping in. We'll see how that goes. The Justice Department hasn't made a comment yet, according to the news report that I'm reading. But there is somebody suing. So once again, the courts are involved. I just finished reading a book by Mary Clay Jelinek, who's a AP reporter who covers Congress. It was called Storm at the Capitol, and it was an oral history of January 6th. And it doesn't go to the White House. It just covers what happened at the Capitol. And some of the information that's in that book is really interesting. For example, Mark Wayne Mullen gave a hug to the police officer, I believe his name was Bird, who shot Ashley Babbitt, and said, "Don't feel bad. You did what you had to do." And now, of course, Mark Wayne Mullen is in the DHS for Trump, and has completely turned around. Troy Nehls, who is a Texas sheriff, I believe, or police officer before he was a member of Congress, manned the barricade and was yelling at the rioters as they were trying to bust into the chamber. He also, turned back on that, on the idea that there was an insurrection, which is kind of interesting. On the idea that there was even a riot. They like to describe that as a day of love and peace, which is obviously ridiculous. But I actually know a guy who got on my Congressman Jim Himes' Facebook page, and because Himes had made a statement about January 6th and the slush fund payment, said that it wasn't an insurrection, it wasn't even a riot, it was peaceful people protesting peacefully. So I think we all know what we saw. It flies in the face of everything that they're saying. But the other part that I think is worth mentioning is the statement that Todd Blanche made to the Maryland Senator Van Hollen, where he said that there was a guy who was a pardoned January 6er who raped 2 underage girls and tried to silence them by promising them a cut of the money that he was going to get from Trump to recompense him for, going to prison. And when Van Hollen brought that up to Todd Blanche made a mistake, I think. He said, how could they do that? There wasn't even a slush fund then, which means that he's agreeing that it's a slush fund and admitting that it's a slush fund, and that, the definition of a slush fund is something that you could use for whatever you want to. And first of all, it's a lie. This has been talked about for a long time. It just, it's happening, but they've been discussing it for a while. And I'll just say before I turn it over to Mark that I don't think a lot of these January 6 guys are going to get this money, because Trump is going to dangle it over their heads and say, if he decides I need a third term, that you need to commit violence again, or we're going to lose our country again. And and in order to stop that, you're going to have to storm the Capitol, whatever it is, do the hullabaloo or the boogaloo, all that kind of stuff. And that money will be an incentive to them to do that. So I do think some people will get paid. I'll bet Giuliani gets paid, maybe even what's her name for the crazy lawyer, Sidney Powell, whatever her name was. Some others who suffered mightily because of their role in that. John Eastman, I think, was another guy. But I don't think the rank and file guys who were there rioting and pummeling policemen that day are going to see a cent of this until Trump decides, if I want to run to a third term, I need a violent mob, and and this is how I'm going to pay for it.
I would probably agree with that, because this is the carrot that he can hold over those people. And you might see some of the money going to like the top guy of the Proud Boys, or the 2%ers, or whatever the hell they're called, those militia. And, this basically allows him to fund those organizations. And again, as he said once, stand back and stand by. And that's pretty much what we're going to be looking at, going forward. It is surprising to me that, some of the Republicans are balking on this. Usually they don't, speak out very much. But the whole thing, at what point in time do we get to a point in our country where alternate reality of, well, this wasn't an insurrection, this was a peaceful protest? I got news for you people. History will show this for exactly what it is. When all of those sycophants and all of those enablers are gone, dead, gone, buried below the, 6 feet under and probably in hell where they belong, when all those people are gone, history is going to take a look at this. And history is not going to paint this as a very good picture. And they're not going to paint a very good picture of Donald Trump. They're not going to paint a very good picture of the people that enabled him and supported him. And they're going to see this as probably one of the darkest times of the American Republic, close to equal to the Civil War. And what happens going forward into this, and we don't know. I mean, this is 2020. This is beginning of 2026. What happens after the midterm elections? We don't know. What's going to happen at the midterm elections? We don't know. I always have the faith, and I keep saying, I hope the system will hold. What's going to happen in 2028? Don't know. I mean, you could sit and worry about it and run around like Chicken Little with, your head cut off. That's perfectly fine. But the fact is does it do you any good? No, it doesn't. And history always gets it when it's not watered down like we do here in the United States. Because remember, everything here in the United States, everything we did that you were taught in history class during grade school, we're star-spangled the best. We never lost. Every decision we made was right. And we'll even whitewash slavery if we have to, just so that we don't get a black eye for something that we did that we shouldn't have been doing. So history will paint this as exactly what it is. And again, it's not going to be a pretty sight. We won't be around to see it. But, textbooks of 50 to 100 years from now, if the United States still even exists after this disaster, are going to paint this as a very bleak time in our history. And as I was saying, at what point in time do we take people that attacked our Capitol, get found guilty in a court of law, sentenced, tried by a jury of their peers, the system worked, found them guilty, put them into prison or other penalties, and then a president comes along and says, oh no, I'm going to pardon all of you. So not only is that against the basic premise of American jurisprudence, that's also against, let's remember, all those court cases, all that stuff that was brought against these January 6th people, we paid for. Courts aren't free. We paid for all of this. Our hard-earned tax dollars paid for every last one of those. And with one swipe of the pen, this moron was basically able to say, yeah, that system that you believed in, that you used, that has been used in the United States for over 200 years, doesn't mean anything. Because these are my guys. These are my people. They're the ones that kiss my big orange ass, and therefore we're gonna let them off the hook. Oh, and let's create a nice big fund. Again, taxpayers, you're going to pay for it, so that if we need to, we can help them along, because it was such an injustice that we put a bunch of traitors into jail. Okay. I mean, I guess Benedict Arnold, we can start forgiving him again. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the point that we're at. And you can sugarcoat it any way you want. You could sugarcoat this any way you want, but that's the fact of the way things are. And you could say, I was having a discussion the other day. I said, hey, you guys elected a 34-time felon. Well, he's not really a convicted felon. That was all rigged. I got news for you. He goes down in history, and he goes down in the legal books as a convicted felon. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to do something to get that expunged. But unfortunately, that's state court. Can't do it. But I'm surprised that he has. New York, if you ever elect a governor, a Republican governor, don't be surprised if that happens.
Yeah,
They're
it
spun.
happens to me.
Don't be surprised, because we have become so, I don't know. We don't understand what we're seeing, and I think that's the biggest problem that we've got at this point in time. So, this thing about the IRS, that is corruption at a level that even Russian oligarchs, I don't think, can accomplish. I'm suing the IRS because somebody released my tax documents, which I should have had to release anyway. It shows that I'm a crook. Okay, I'm going to sue the IRS, who wasn't the ones that released the document, for $10 billion. A department in my own agents, in my own sphere of influence in the executive branch. I'm going to sue them. And as a agreement, anything I've ever done bad in the past, or my family's done bad, or my corporation has done bad, all those failed corporations, all those scams that I perpetrated upon the American people and took them for millions and millions of dollars, you can't prosecute me about that. You can't. That's forever washed away. Oh, and that's quite all right. That's fine according to everybody that supports him. Oh, because he was unfairly treated. What a snowflake. All you guys, say how strong a leader this guy is. How oh, he's a strong leader. He's the biggest snowflake we've ever had. I think the only bigger snowflake we ever had was maybe James Buchanan, whose policies actually led to the Civil War, or actually lack of policies led to the Civil War. I mean, so I'm sorry. I can't buy into it. What can be done about it? Tonya, at this point in time, not a lot of anything. I mean, the fact is, you're right, the Democrats can whine. As Scott brought out, people can bring up lawsuits. We'll see how that progresses. But eventually, it's going to get to that damn Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, the last I remember, Letitia James is still the Attorney General of New York,
Yep.
and Alvin Bragg is still the District Attorney in New York, Manhattan. And the IRS has nothing to tell them about Trump's state and city taxes that he's owed, and I think he owes over $100 million in state and city taxes that he's never paid. So I think they've been shy about some of that, but he's been convicted, I believe, twice of tax fraud. We'll see if on the state level, if you mention a governor, a Republican governor of New York, which has happened numerous times in my lifetime. Yes. I would like to say, how about a Democratic attorney general in Florida who could go after him down there and demand a lot of payment, because I'm sure he owes them a great deal of money as well, although they don't have income tax, I guess, but he probably owes them other taxes. I mean, just is the idea that not just him, but him and his family forever, the unborn Trumps to come, have total immunity from the IRS is a completely crazy thing. But as I guess Todd Blanche, and people have to understand, before Todd Blanche was who's now the acting Attorney General of the United States of America, was the deputy Attorney General for the United States of America. He was Trump's lawyer. He was the guy who would come out of the courtroom in New York and stand with Trump and make statements to the press. And he's completely acting as Trump's attorney now. And, I've said it before, the thing that blows my mind is I've never met Todd Blanche myself, but he was my brother Larry's. He was his paralegal when Larry was a assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. Both Todd Blanche and M.L. Bove were paralegals. They hadn't even gone to law school yet, working for him. And, when I asked him about this stuff, he just kind of shakes his head and goes, they were, nice enough fellas. He certainly didn't see this coming. And it's incredible how stupid Todd Blanche is willing to be when he's being questioned by U.S. senators, how obtuse he has been about this. He'll say, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Or, the slush fund didn't even exist before. Or, Trump has been the most the most indicted and found guilty president. Everything that he does is unprecedented. Yes, he's faced the law before, and he was convicted, and he was held liable. And he was held liable of rape or sexual assault, which amounts to about the same thing. And this is his lawyer who didn't get him off. Let's be clear about that. Todd Blanche probably did the best that he could, but the overwhelming
what he had to work with.
Right, the overwhelming evidence was that Trump was guilty. And anybody who's out there listening to this and go, you guys just hate Trump. Like, it was a jury of his peers. It wasn't the Biden administration that put him on trial. There was a grand jury, and then there was a real jury, and those 12 people said guilty, or in the case of the civil suits, liable for that. And it's completely mind-blowing. And Brooke, we really need to get David K. Johnston back here, because he's very eloquent, I think, about this, where he says this is dictatorship. Like, let's be clear about what this really means. This is dictatorship in action. And he's declared that he wants to be a dictator, and we've gone to No Kings rallies. And, people say, well, he's not a dictator. He was elected. Well, a lot of dictators get elected. But this is dictatorship in action, where I can't even believe I'm about to say this. He sued himself, and he decided that he was guilty and needed to pay himself. Like, just think about that. He now has a $1.776 billion slush fund to arm his goon squads. And if you don't think he's going to use that, I mean, the only thing that would stop him is if his health gets so bad, he realizes that he can't run, or that he chickens out, which he did on January 6th. He chickened out. He did not invoke the Insurrection Acts, and he did not cause the Oath Keepers to go back over the river in the Potomac and grab their guns and come back to the Capitol. He did not do that. But I believe that he didn't do that for the same reason he has not done a whole bunch of stuff on Tuesdays when Trump always chickens out. And I believe on January 6th, he did, again, chicken out. I don't know that we can count on that the next time.
Yeah. And it's fortunate for us that he chickened out. I mean, let's make that very clear.
Sure.
And you're right. Todd Blanche was the loser when he was being convicted and found responsible. And so, yeah, I mean, this is the guy that's your attorney general that's there. And these are state. This is the state that's doing this. And no, the federal government can't just wash it away, because it's state government. So the fact is that, whenever you talk about the convictions, and you brought up Scott, he went to a grand jury and a jury of his peers. The first comment is, yeah, but that's in New York. He couldn't have possibly got a fair shake there because they're all Democrats. Everybody on the jury is a Democrat. Everybody on the jury is a Trump hater, which is bullshit, which is an absolute bullshit argument. And I think that, as you pointed out, they've been a little bit leery about prosecuting these things. In some cases, yes, they should be prosecuting them. And their fear is that what it'll look like. It'll look like we are targeting Trump. It'll look like we are persecuting Trump. It'll look like, this, that, and the other. You know what I say? Screw that shit. Just do it. Persecute the son of a bitch. Prosecute him back to the Stone Age, as he put that he was going to do to the Iranians. They're going to, no matter what you do, the excuse is going to be it's a witch hunt. You're all against Trump. Oh, this, that, and the other. Now, if Trump's such a strong man and such an innocent man, he'll be able to withstand this without any problem whatsoever. So get out there and do it. Do what you're supposed to be doing. Prosecute his ass. Prosecute his ass for everything you possibly can. And if he's a strong guy, if he's a powerful guy, tears running down his face, sir, all that other horse shit that he puts out there, he should be able to come through this without a scratch. And bottom line is, even if he's convicted, his supporters are going to say, oh, well, it was a witch hunt. It was terrible. Oh, poor Trump, our poor dear leader. Oh, how could you do such a thing to such a wonderful guy? Okay, whatever. They're going to do it anyway. So you might as well take that political calculation of, well, if we do this, it only benefits Trump because it strengthens his support. Do it or don't do it. It doesn't matter at this point in time, as far as his support's concerned. It does not matter. Yeah, he might get a few more Republicans that come on board with him. Okay, whatever. But the fact is that, hey, he's a strong guy. He's this great, fearless leader of yours. Let's see how he stands up to the scrutiny. So far, every time he goes into the court, legit court, he doesn't stand up to scrutiny very well. And the excuses are all going to be there. So that would be my comment on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it was to try avoiding any appearance of partisanship that led us to where we are now with Merrick Garland. So, yeah.
Well, and the Republicans don't give a shit about the appearance of partisanship. They don't care.
That's true. No, that's true. They don't. They just march right ahead.
The Democrats are fighting on the wrong set of rules.
And didn't what's his name? Oh God, the one who said flood the zone.
Bannon.
Yeah, didn't Steve Bannon said it's going to be like the exciting 1930s again recently?
What was so exciting about the 1930s?
Hitler and his coming to power, and the first it was the SA and then it was the SS running around, and Kristallnacht and all that kind of stuff, and then the start of World War II. And that's what Bannon is talking about now, that as we're approaching midterm elections. And that was the word that he used was exciting 19s, because it's going to be just like the exciting 1930s. That may not be an exact quote, but that was his point. That's where the time that we're entering now. And I mean, what a comparison. And yet people object when anyone connects Trump to Hitler or America now to fascism or to the Third Reich or anything like that, but it's fine when Bannon does it. No one. Well,
just same thing when Charlie Kirk was murdered, and I'm going to say this right now: the murder of Charlie Kirk was a tragedy. Violence should never be the answer when we're talking in political discourse. It should never be the answer. Plain and simple. There's just no excuse for it. But the fact is that when people would use Charlie Kirk's own words against him after he passed, oh my God, that was terrible. That was terrible. You're using the man's own words. This is what he said. We're not making it. I mean, nobody's making it up. He said this. I mean, if you're offended by saying those words after he's passed, tragically, why weren't you offended by those words when he was saying them? Oh, I mean, what's that all about?
Well, he's saying it like it's a good thing. I mean, this is what Steve Bannon does.
Well, yeah.
He's traveled all over the world trying to get fascism back in different countries. And it's an interesting thing because the three of us, I'm sure of this, the three of us have studied the Truth and Reconciliation process in South Africa.
Yes.
And they're using that as a justification for this. And, the idea was that South Africa established that commission to first document the crimes that were committed under apartheid And then after uncovering the truth that had been sort of hidden in plain sight for so long, then decided to do something to facilitate basically going from an authoritarian regime into a democracy. When they invoke that, Trump is doing the exact opposite. He is undermining democracy to create an authoritarian state. And he's using a Truth and Reconciliation Commission type of mechanism to do it. It is the ultimate in irony that they actually even bring this matter up and make that comparison, because it is totally the opposite of what happens. And we saw it in other places as well. But South Africa certainly would be a great template, for using remuneration to foster democracy by making fair something that was always unfair, and by exposing crimes that had hitherto been hidden. The crimes here are all committed by Trump, and they're well known. He told those people to storm the Capitol. He even lied to them and told them that he would be there with them. I don't know, man. It's some mind-blowing stuff, but yeah, this is dictatorship in action. I agree with David K. Johnston on this. This is something that we've never seen before, and there's not enough people talking about it, and it doesn't come from nowhere, because Ashley Babbitt's family got paid off, and other people have gotten paid off from it. And so, every step of the way, there's a little incremental, let me see if I can get away with this. If I can get away with this, I'll get away with the next thing. And that's what's happening. And, this is probably not the biggest thing. I mean, every time you think, oh my God, they can't get worse, can they? They get worse.
Yeah, just to clean up just a little bit too, but what was being said, the thing about Trump's taxes, that is everything up until the time that this was signed, not forever and ever past that.
Are you sure about that? Because I had read that.
I am actually reading it. The forever barred and precluded from bringing claims against Trump and his family for his business for the past tax issues up to the date of the settlement this week.
Oh, okay.
So, but don't worry, friends and family, he'll be out there cheating again if we can get him this next time. But that, again, is only with the IRS, and that's only federal. So state, he's still on the hook for state. And all I could say is all you states that have a case, bring them. Bring them. Because they're the Trumpettes, the Kool-Aid drinkers and crayon chewers are all going to make excuses anyway. So whatever. Just do it. And
just for our Republican friends out there, I don't know if we have any Republican friends out there, but if there are,
I think we have a couple. I think there's two. No.
Okay. You do understand that every dollar that Trump or anybody else doesn't pay that they should is a dollar that is either not made up, so it's a deficit, or you make it up. We make it. Other taxpayers fill in the empty space there. So this is costing you money.
Yes.
And you're still for it.
Yep. And, also to make very, very clear, when we talk about, and I mentioned the crayon chewers, we're not talking about all Republicans. I am a firm believer that for the United States to work, we need a strong conservative Republican Party with conservative values. There has to be a counterbalance. There has to be, so that the system, when it works, has compromise where they have to work through these things. So we're not talking about all Republicans. We're talking about the MAGA faithful, that no matter what happens, it's okay. And that's the group we're talking about. And I will say this, if you look at some of the MAGA faithful that is on social media, these are some of the dumbest son of a so-and-sos you're possibly going to meet in our communities. I have some colleagues and some friends that are Republicans that are absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. They're not MAGA. They believe in conservatism. They don't like the idea of liberalism. They don't like those kind of things. But they're more than willing to sit down and say, okay, how can we reach a happy medium where we're not too far to the left and we're not too far to the right. And I think that's something hopeful. I think the MAGA group is a lot smaller than people believe it is. Yeah, bro.
Well, then where are the regular conservative Republicans in Congress? How, I still don't understand even what is it John Thune, where he said, well, I don't love it regarding this slush fund. I mean, that's a pretty milk toasty, flabby response. I mean, the fact that people are saying he's not supporting it, he spoke up, he said something against it, I mean, with the I don't really love it, rather than this is corruption, this is wrong, I'm voting against it. I mean, the fact that being reported,
Well,
that it's such an amazing comment that he even didn't say, oh, yes, sir, and bow to the floor.
No, it's I'll tell you something. You want to know why this is because of fear. And if you want to know why it's because of fear, let's look at the Massey election that happened yesterday, the primary. Massey still garnered 41% of the Republican vote. 41% basically reject Trump. 54% go with him. And when we're talking about a general election, and again, this is why I always say that independents are so very, very important, because they're really the ones that swing the vote. Not everybody that is Republican votes MAGA. Plain and simple. And 41% yesterday in Kentucky did not vote MAGA. That's a large percentage. Now, granted, there were more MAGAs in there, the 54%, but that's just the Republican Party. That's just the Republican Party. This is not a mixed primary where it's Democrats, Independents, and Republicans can vote. This is just Republicans. So it's in Kentucky, it's a rather large amount. But he still only got 54% of the Republicans, just a little bit over half of them, that candidate. This is what gives me hope. What? All right, Scott's gonna beat me up on this one.
Go on.
No, but I mean, it's the math, Scott. That's the way I look at it. 54% of the Republicans.
40, you just said 41% is almost half.
No, I just said 54% is just over half.
Okay.
Just over half. No, 41% is not half. No, even my math's better than that, Scott. I mean,
because this is politics, and like small percentages make a huge difference, right?
Well, yeah, I do. But I mean, the fact is, so let's say there's 100,000 Republicans. Let's just make the numbers real easy. 100,000 Republicans. 41,000 of them said no to Trump. 54,000 of them said yes to Trump. Now, right. I don't know where the other, I'm really not sure where the other 5% comes in. Maybe they voted for somebody else or didn't give a shit, but right. There's where you have it.
But let's be clear about what those 54% were voting for. The anger at Massey is because of the Epstein files.
Mm-hmm.
So that 54% of people voted to hide the Epstein files. We don't want to know that Trump rapes little girls. We don't want to know that the party of pedophiles is our party, and that Massey brought that out and fought really hard to get all the Epstein files out. And some of the stuff that I have read from the Epstein files is like frighteningly horrific.
Yes.
And Trump is right in the middle of it, slapping little girls, pushing their heads down into his lap. All kinds of things. We're talking about little girls, okay? 54% of Kentuckians who voted in that election, yes, they're all Republicans, said, Jeffrey Epstein, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
We need to keep this guy Massey out of our face, because he keeps bringing up pedophilia that Trump is 100% involved in. His name is in there more than God's name is in the freaking Bible. And it is absolutely disgraceful. And, it's not just him. I mean, Bill Cassidy got what he deserves. I'm glad. that he finished third in his primary in Louisiana. Bill Cassidy deserves that. He stepped up once in his life during the second impeachment trial, once in his life, but then he turned around and he basically denied the whole thing, and he was the key vote for RFK Jr. because RFK Jr. promised them that he is not doing exactly what he's done since becoming the Health and Human Services Secretary or whatever the freak he is. And, John Cornyn again. Let me tell you, you mentioned John Thune. Let me tell you something, John Thune. Trump only respects dictators because they're tougher than he is. He doesn't respect anybody who's weaker than he is. He doesn't respect anybody who doesn't care about anybody who looks down and says, yes, sir, to him. If you fight Trump, if you go up and you say, you're going to do this, the way Obama did, by the way, to Vladimir Putin, look at the pictures, the difference between what Obama did glaring down at Vladimir Putin from his much taller height to Trump sort of slumped over, looking real hangdog and saying, I believe my intelligence people, but Vladimir was very, very strongly suggesting that he had nothing to do with it. Just weak with G, weak with Putin, weak all the time with people who stand up to him. Republicans, stand up to him.
And let's face it, this could actually come back and bite Trump in the ass a little bit, because right now, Massey is still there until January.
Yep.
And I think he should get up there and read every single thing he can out of those Epstein files. There's a good filibuster. Just get up there and start reading, and say there you go, and have it put in the congressional record, and there it is. So this could come back and bite him in the ass. We'll see. Okay.
The other day when Trump was asked about the Chinese spying and putting computer viruses in the stuff that runs everything in America now, every power plant, every dam, every water supply, and he says, well, we do it to them too. I mean, just like weak. He's a weak man portraying himself as a strong man. It's worth losing your seat over to oppose this man. If enough people did it, he would lose his power. He would lose his ability. And we need, I'm not a Tom Massey guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Bill Cassidy guy. As I've said, I have no respect for John Cornyn, or I used to respect John Thune. I don't respect him anymore. But this is what is needed. When you have a bully in the White House, you've got to stand up to them. Massey did pay the price. You're right. He's got some time left. I hope he uses it wisely.
So do I. Okie doke.
All righty. So thank you, Tonya, for the questions. Thank you very much.
And that's all the time we have for today's episode. The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We want to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing team, Apple Podcasts, the largest source of podcast and music online, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your destination for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. And most importantly, we want to thank you, our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society could not be possible. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing on the platform of your choice. It's easy, it's free, and helps our channel grow. For questions or comments, you can reach us at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So on behalf of Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershworth, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power of society is knowledge. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Phoenix Research Group, an independent research consortium dedicated to providing solutions to social and political issues for NGOs and international government agencies. Through multidisciplinary, nonpartisan, and unbiased research, the Phoenix Research Group advances understanding and practical strategies for complex challenges. The Phoenix Research Group is a division of the Phoenix Research Institute, the producer of the Nova Society podcast.